I'm stranded on an island, but I still can't get away from the Blake Lively drama.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. It's Kim, and I am here with Andy. Oh my gosh, the deserted island. Are you
Well, I'm in Puerto
okay?
Rico. I'm trying to get away, but my kids are getting ready, and I had a moment. I couldn't resist. This is big story, Kim. Ryan Reynolds is now trying to dismiss the case against Justin. And what's crazy about it is it's so emotionally charged. I can't help but believe he wasn't instrumental in writing this motion. And it just felt unhinged at how much he's tripling down on it. But the scary part is, even if it's what Christopher Melcher, I was able to text him this morning, he might have a case here, Tim, is what's interesting about some of the points, which we're going to break down, the most important parts of this motion to dismiss. It's not fully confirmed, but he makes some interesting points while also tripling down to basically say, yeah, I said that stuff. So what? Sue me. Which I found quite interesting and kind of surprising. Kim, what did you think?
I felt like it was very aggressive. I agree, and I can't fault somebody for wanting to stick up for their partner. But there were parts of it as I was reading it, I couldn't help but feel like it was a bit petty. There's like a burn book reference in this thing. It's a lot. It's a lot. So we do have some parts that Andy, you looked at and you highlighted and you wanted to go over. So I'm gonna
Yeah, I mean
go.
the intro. There's an introduction here, which he sets up the tone, which you could read some of the highlight portions. It's hard for me to read on
Yeah,
the phone here on the beach.
no worries. So the first portion that you kind of saw was the first amended complaint that Sarowitz and his co-plaintiff filed seeks to fulfill the promise by polluting this court's docket with hundreds of paragraphs of clickbait designed for an audience other than this court, with virtually no bearing on cognizable legal claims.
Which I just found ironic, given that that's what she did with the New York Times. She not only had a bunch of texts and paragraphs to overdo it all, she gave it to them months in advance, and now
Allegedly.
somehow, allegedly, I don't know. I feel pretty confident with the metadata that they did. You can't edit a video and all those articles. And they, even in their response, they're like, "Well, we were working on a story." Is how they sort of are playing it.
Yeah.
So I do feel like they've kind of admitted it. But yeah, this idea that they're allowed to do it, but Justin can't is just ridiculous.
Yeah. So then it talks about the receipts, such as large colored photographs comparing Mr. Reynolds' long hairstyle in a movie with Mr. Baldoni's long hairstyle at some point in his life. But the FAC is a pleading, not a gossip rag, and these so-called receipts fail to establish a requisite elements of a single one of the many causes of action against Mr. Reynolds.
Yeah, just like that the lack of evidence on Blake's thing as well, right, Kim? It's just weird how they don't have to provide evidence, and then but somehow Justin does. I don't get it. Isn't it
Yeah.
their case? Aren't they the ones who have to provide the actual evidence?
It it's interesting. Now, this gets into specifically the two times allegedly that Mr. Reynolds called Mr. Baldoni a predator and saying that the FAC allegations suggest that Mr. Reynolds genuinely, perhaps passionately, believes that Mr. Baldoni's behavior is reflective of a predator. Even the FAC plausibly alleged that Mr. Reynolds called Mr. Baldoni a predator while believing the opposite, which it does not. The law establishes that calling someone a predator amounts to constitutionally protected opinion. And the FAC's thin-skinned outrage over a movie character, the satirical woke nice pool, does not even pretend to be tied to any actual legal claims. Instead, it falls into the FAC's general allegation of hurt feelings, in which reality is nothing more than a desperate effort to advance the same curated bully image that the Wayfarer parties created and disseminated in the retaliation campaign they launched against Ms. Lively in August of 2024.
I mean, it is a bully tactic. He's not denying that Nice Pool is Justin, and the idea that he used such an important movie for Marvel fans, for Deadpool fans, and he created a whole character, Justin, and we're supposed to just not be affected by that or acknowledge that that's weird and petty and potentially defamatory. I don't know. The whole thing is just weird. But I love the thin skin. He's just thin skinned. It's just ridiculous. That thin skinned comment really stuck to me. I'm just like, yeah, Justin, we're destroying your life. My wife's, I believe my wife was wrong, but I'm still allowed to believe her. We mocked you and we killed you in the movie. We told your agent to fire you. You've lost all these other movies, but it's just your thin skin. Just get over it. I'll be honest, Kim. This whole thing really is sort of was like almost a final nail in the coffin of me hoping to sort of be good with Ryan. But I feel like this triple down really makes me look at him in a new light, where I just feel like, dude, you might be wrong. Your wife might not be telling the truth. There was no need for you to write this aggressively emotional charged response, because to me it just makes me like him even less. Because again, he's doing, as we read, guys, this whole thing is theatrics to the public as well. Let's call it what it is, right, Kim? This is not just some legal document. This is Ryan loudly saying, I believe my wife, and anybody who doesn't, you're against me, is how I read this whole thing. And I find it incredibly off-putting.
Yeah, I think for me the big thing that sticks out in this paragraph for me is the idea of saying that basically it's fine if I called him a predator if I believe it. It's fine. And the problem is, it's like, okay, so you're admitting then essentially that you have called him this. You have reason to
Which he does
believe.
multiple times. He does that
Yes.
multiple times, right? Yeah.
So, but the thing is, I don't feel like that word is a light word to use, especially in Hollywood, in a post Weinstein world, right? Like this is huge. It's very, very damning, and
Well, not to interrupt you, but he takes away section. Notice that? He keeps using the word predator, but not
yeah,
using the actual apparent word, which was sexual predator, which is way more charged and way more specific. And I see you, Ryan. I see you trying to legally ease your way out, but you didn't keep repeating the word sexual predator, which does have connotations. Kim, you're spot on.
mhm. And the next part that we highlighted was it is, in essence, a burn book filled with grievances attempting to shame Mr. Reynolds for being the kind of man who is confident enough to listen to the woman in his life and hold her anguish and actually stand with her.
Oh, oh, I just, I find this whole thing despicable. I mean, look, as you said in the beginning, he's allowed to stand by his wife. But to do it, I don't know, he's just such a simp. To do it this loudly when so much evidence has come forward, Kim, that clearly puts it into more of a he said, she said than they want to admit. That's just the reality of this. Clearly, Blake's emotions were also hurt. Clearly, Blake's thin skin was also affected, Ryan. So for you to triple down in this way, so aggressive, only to me confirms Justin's accusation that you're a bully. And some of my friends will notice I've been trying to be nicer to Ryan and give him that benefit, Kim. You know, like I'm hoping there's that silver lining. But this is just the same thing of demanding it like he write the apology, which later he admits to, basically admits to all of it, guys. This whole thing admits, so what if I did this? I'm allowed. I'm okay to do it. All of it pretty much admits to the things we've heard, which is kind of terrifying. And it shows him as the loud, aggressive bully that Justin's claiming.
Yeah, it's tough. And the problem is for me that I look at this paragraph and I go, how is it that there's criticism just a couple paragraphs up about the complaints being written for an audience outside of the court, and then here you're literally making a Mean Girls reference?
He's got to do a Deadpool reference, even in his thing here. Did you notice that, Kim? He's got to have some pop culture references. That's such a tell that he wrote this. No lawyer wrote that. No lawyer's like, wait, I got a Mean Girls reference I'm going to throw in here into
Yeah,
this.
we got to get Regina George in here.
We got to get it in. It's like only Ryan Reynolds could do such a in joke. And again, it's like made me dislike all of. I've been trying to, like, he's defending his wife. He's emotionally charged. It is what it is. They're under attack. They are, because they're in the wrong. And but this man, Ryan, man, you look awful. This is awful. Well, anyway, but just to reiterate at the end, well, let's go through that part. Because there is one argument that I asked Chris that could hurt Justin. Basically, Justin has seemingly admitted to being a predator through Man Enough podcasts, his book, etc. And Ryan brings this up, and I got to admit, it's a clever argument, because he's basically saying, well, even if I said it, which he's basically admitting he said it, Justin's admitted this himself. In his own podcast, he's admitted to these quotes, which we don't even need to read them all, but you guys can pause and read them. But these quotes, which are broader than actually specifically saying he was a predator, preying on women, or worse, which is what to me the term is implying. Those quotes basically admit, well, he's already admitted it. So how dare he go on TED Talks and the podcast and say, as someone who's worked, blah, blah, blah to women before, now try to sue someone for basically admitting, yeah, that's what he is. Now, to me, Kim, the difference is then and now. Like, I do believe people can change and put in the work and do that. And talking about yourself in the teens clearly isn't the same as now. Otherwise, Ryan, we could probably put a great montage of Ryan in his teens, Kim, and compare Ryan in his teens to now. Am I right?
Not only
The
that, but
debate is
but there's a lot of clips of Ryan Reynolds where he says things in interviews that I would consider to be quite questionable.
mm-hmm,
So I think this
mm-hmm.
is a dangerous game to
Staring at
play.
boobs. Exactly. Staring at boobs he's not supposed to, etc. There's a lot there that's very. He's opening up a can of worms with almost a threat to Justin. Like, we're going to prove you're a predator because you've admitted you're a predator. But to be fair, legally that might be an argument, guys. Whether you like it or not, that might be an argument that could come into play if the judge deems it. What Chris basically said is he suspects they might have to come back and be more specific or have an. I don't think this is going to get thrown out, but he does make some fair arguments. There's a whole stuff about WME. Like, you didn't have a contract with me, Ryan Reynolds. You didn't have one with WME either. They just ceased to continue working with you. Like, that's not a breach of contract. And he's right. Technically, he's right. So there are some technicalities here. He's also like, it's past the year of limitations. If he gets out on technicalities on this, then shame on him, because it just proves again that he didn't win. He's just using technicalities, which is something a Weinstein or a Cosby or all these people are trying to do. So I find it kind of gross that he tripled down with this argument that, yes, he may actually get some win, guys, just technically. Don't be mad at the messenger. He may legally get some technicalities, but overall, from a PR standpoint, Kim, this is an awful look. And as someone who was trying to be indifferent on him while still disliking Blake, this sort of sealed the deal for me to be like, oh no, they're one the same. And I know a lot of you were already there, but now I'm with you, because shame on you, Ryan. Just stay out of it at this point. Let it happen in court if you really believe this. You don't get to go and do your references against Justin and continue the defamation and then act all more righteous, as if you guys are the righteous party. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
I do have one more portion here that you had sent to me to highlight. So it would be inconsistent with the FAC to find that Mr. Reynolds uttered the predator statements with actual malice. Indeed, there is not a single plausible factual allegation from which a jury could conclude that Mr. Reynolds does not believe Baldoni to be a predator. To the contrary, the FAC alleges that Reynolds took steps consistent with believing his wife's allegations, including demanding an apology from Mr. Baldoni and mocking Mr. Baldoni's woke feminist facade in Deadpool and Wolverine, not to mention Mr. Baldoni's own public admissions about his past conduct. The deep disdain that the FAC alleges Mr. Reynolds feels towards Baldoni concedes that Mr. Reynolds subjectively believes what he said about Baldoni, thus defeats a finding of actual malice.
Yeah, and then that's I think page 20, right? That's right above the quotes. That's him teeing up, like, also, Justin has admitted he is. So look, this technically it could be a good argument legally. I don't think it is righteously or morally. Ryan, you have your own skeletons in your closet. This idea that you're going to have to go unpack all of Justin's because you need to defend your wife, who clearly overreacted, to me is a huge mistake. But it makes sense, right? That's what they've been doing this whole time. They've taken the worst advice, or I guess haven't taken advice, because yet again, this reads like an emotionally charged thing that they wrote, rather than their legal or the help sort of advise them to do. And it fits in line with all of their steps so far in this process of just digging themselves even deeper in this ridiculous hole.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think with that though, we are going to wrap up this video. I do want to say thank you guys
Oh
so
yeah, I
much
got it,
for
Ryan.
watching.
You
Yeah,
don't get to bug me anymore on my vacation. I'm going away, Kim. Puerto Rico. I love Puerto Rico. If you ever come, Puerto Rico, a family here. It's been so nice. I've been offline enough that I was able to afford this time, and I'm going back offline. Nothing else is bringing me back in, unless one of them dies, Kim. My God, I'm going offline. Leave me alone. Screw you, Ryan, for always ruining our vacations and our holidays with your filings. You suck. You've lost me. I'm fully on Team Justin. This is ridiculous, and I can't wait to see how Friedman responds, Kim.
yeah, I think it will be interesting to see how Friedman will respond and what we'll see in further filings. But I will say, if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you've hit the like. Please leave a comment below. If you really enjoy our content, check out our YouTube membership as well as our Patreon to support the current in production Blake versus Justin
Yes.
documentary. We would love to see your support there, and there's already some behind the scenes stuff there.
We've had some people reach out to us, Kim, about this documentary. I'm excited. So keep supporting it. Keep the interest up. I heard that there's one that just dropped on Channel 4 or 5. I don't know. That apparently was awful. It had Boozy in it. They used Christopher Boozy as an expert and Perez Hilton. I'm like, what on earth are these people doing? So you can rest assured ours will actually be informed and do the work, not just rush. So stay tuned and hit subscribe over on Patreon to really support us. And thank you. Subscribe to Kim as well. All right, Kim, I'm going. Bye,
Bye guys.
Bye, everybody.